Zahra, salamullahi alayh. And yeah, thank you for coming. It's an honor to host you. I know many of you are from Northwest London. And before we start the program, I'd like to invite Brother Muhammad Ta'ma, Sayyid Muhammad Ta'ma, to recite Surah Yasin before we kickstart the event. After a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Is it alright if it's on the stand? Thank you. طيبوا أفواهكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم
أحسنت حبيبي. صل على محمد وآل محمد. First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming once again. And like I said before, mashallah, we have many members of our community here, brothers from Northwest London here as well. We thank you for making the journey. And I'd like to thank Muhammad Tu'ma, Sayyid Muhammad Tu'ma, for the beautiful recitation of Surah Yasin. So the program will have the following. There will be a recitation by me, inshallah, Murtaza Hamdani, Sayyid Murtaza Hamdani, and then there'll be poetry by Zainawan. And then there'll be a lecture by Ibrahim Al Ansari. And then we will have, inshallah, more recitations by Mullah Rashid, Ammar Al Nashid, and then, I forgot the last reciter, but. Yeah? Oh, yeah, Yusuf Al Yukera. Yeah, Habibi, I'm so sorry, by the way. I'm so sorry, bro. And yeah, as you guys know, I'm more of a. I feel so bad. As you guys know, I'm more of a poet than a reciter. Recently, I've written a lot. I've written a few nasheeds for Mullah Rashid in honor of Sayyid Zahra, but I haven't written anything for myself. So I am going to unfortunately have to recite something on the respected son of the Lady of Light, and then inshallah I'll recite in honor of her husband as well. After Allah, salawat Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. The King of Heaven, O joy of the Prophet, my intercession, O Son of the Promised. The King of Heaven, O joy of the Prophet, my intercession, O Son of the Promise. The angels attest, without you I'm nothing. I long for your grave, in your love I'm drowning. Hopeful to return, I'm praying, I'm wishing. For you I will serve, tears in my eyes crying. The ark of salvation, without we will perish. The one who stood lonely, now followed by many. MashaAllah, I see there's a lot of Iraqis here, so if you can please clap, I would really appreciate it. The ark of salvation, without we will perish. The one who stood lonely, now followed by many, running to his palace, towards the golden dome. A streak of light is seen, the stairway to heaven. The angels descend, asking for their mercy as they visit the holy grave of Hussein, praying to Allah, forgive them, forgive them. They are the Zawar of Hussein, the cherished, the King of Heaven, O joy of the Prophet, my intercession, O Son of the Promised. The King of Heaven, O joy of the prophets, my intercession, O Son of the Promise. The angels attest, without you I'm nothing. I long for your grave, in your love I'm drowning. Hopeful to return, I'm praying, I'm wishing. For you I will serve, tears in my eyes crying. Sometimes I do ponder, what if I had two wings to fly around the dome, soaring around two kings, standing firm to protect, serving with Al-Abbas, even in death he will serve his masters over. They come to his door asking for desires, crawling on all fours, they are met with their needs. Babul Hawaij, 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 to meet with the king, first visit his loved prince. The King of Heaven, O joy of the Prophet, my intercession, O son of the promise. The angels attest, without you I'm nothing. I long for your grave, in your love I'm drowning. Hopeful to return, I'm praying, I'm wishing. For you I will serve, tears in my eyes crying. Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Ali 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 Maula. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا. They say I'm crazy for loving Abul Hassan. If you want to cure me, then send me to Najaf. They say I'm crazy for loving Abul Hassan. If you want to cure me, then send me to Najaf. But there is no such cure for loving Mawla Ali. But there is no such cure for loving Mawla Ali. If you don't believe me, go visit during Arba'in. Go visit the holy land of Karbala. Go visit the holy land of Karbala. You will find an endless sea of crazy lovers. Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula. علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. They say I'm crazy for loving Abul Hassan. If you want to cure me, then send me to Najaf. They say I'm crazy for loving Abul Hassan. If you want to cure me, then send me to Najaf. But there is no such cure for loving Mawla Ali. But there is no such cure for loving Mawla Ali. If you don't believe me, go visit during Arba'in. Go visit the holy land of Karbala. Go visit the holy land of Karbala. You will find an endless sea of crazy lovers. Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Ali. Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Ali. Ali Ali Maula. علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. The doors of Khaybar way like a feather. The doors of Khaybar way like a feather. On no one's arm but Ali, Ali. The doors of Khaybar way like a feather. On no one's arm but Ali, Ali. He conquered Khaybar, the Prophet's aider in this and next life, Ali, Ali. He conquered Badr, others fled Uhud. He conquered Badr, others fled Uhud. Who remained loyal, Ali, Ali. He conquered Badr, others fled Uhud. Who remained loyal, Ali, 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 Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla. مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي. The Lion of God, the whole world applauds the miracles of Ali, Ali. The Lion of God, the whole world applauds the miracles of Ali, Ali. They cut Hujjar's tongue, praising his imam. Still the cut tongue said, Ali, Ali. Oppressed or distressed in a time of need, the hearts will cry out, Nade Ali. Oppressed or distressed in a time of need, the hearts will cry out, Nade Ali, 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 Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, 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 Mawla. علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي صل على محمد وآل محمد. And the second in honor of the Lady of Lights, Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
بر محمد وآل محمد بلند ترین صلوات. نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ رسالت، نعرہ رسالت. سب مل کے نعرہ حیدری، دونوں ہاتھ بلند کر کے سب مل کے نعرہ حیدری. بر محمد وآل محمد بلند ترین صلوات. سب کو السلام علیکم یا علی علیہ السلام مدد. Firstly, I would just like to thank the whole Muslim community of XX to give me the opportunity to serve the holy Ahlul Bayt, and Jazakallah to my brother Tabish Bhai and everyone else involved. پہلے بس ایک روبائے مولا غازی عباس صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم کی شان میں سب کی اجازت کے ساتھ بر محمد وال محمد بلند تر صلوات. پھر بھی صلوات دیجیے سارے حضرات. چلو میں دریا کے لیے پیاس کھڑا ہے، شبیر کا منظور نظر خاص کھڑا ہے. چلو دریا کے لیے پیاس کھڑا ہے، شبیر کا منظور نظر خاص کھڑا ہے. اور کالے لباس میں کالے لباس میں یہ علم نہیں ہے لوگو، مہدی کے انتظار میں عباس کھڑا ہے. کالے لباس میں کالے لباس میں یہ علم نہیں ہے لوگو، مہدی کے انتظار میں عباس کھڑا ہے. بر محمد محمد بلند تر صلوات. بی بی فاطمہ ذرا سامنے ایک کے حوالے سے بس ایک منقبت پیش کرنا چاہوں جلدی سے. بر محمد وال محمد بلند تر صلوات. جناب فاطمہ زہرا تمہارے آنے سے جناب فاطمہ فاطمہ زہرا جناب فاطمہ زہرا تمہارے آنے سے شعر سن امیر خانہ ہوا گھر غریب خانے سے جناب فاطمہ زہرا تمہارے آنے سے. اور شعر سنیے گا کیا در بطول پہ اسلام دے رہا ہے صدا در بطول پہ اسلام دے رہا ہے صدا حسین چاہیے بی بی تیرے خزانے سے جناب فاطمہ زہرا تمہارے آنے سے. اور سب کی توجہ چاہیے کہ سمٹ کے حری کی جبیں سے لپٹ گیا کعبہ سمٹ کے حری کی جبیں سے لپٹ گیا کعبہ فقط بطول کے رومال باندھے جانے سے جناب فاطمہ زہرا یا علی تمہارے آنے سے. اور بہت ہو شعر پیش ہوں کہ دھماکے تھک گئے دھمکا کہ اہل ماتم کو دھماکے تھک گئے دھمکا کہ اہل ماتم کو نہ روک پائے ہمیں مجلسوں میں جانے میں دھماکے تھک گئے دوں کا کیل ماتم کو نہ روک پائے ہمیں مجلسوں میں جانے میں جناب فاطمہ زہرا تمہارے آنے سے پر محمد وال محمد بلند تر صلوات. There's a few Iraqi brothers in the audience. Mazrit, apologies. There's no English recitation prepared on my behalf, but something in the shan of Bibi Fatimah Salam Alaiha and Imam Ali Alayhi Salam. Sehra kalam pesh karne laga hu sabki ijazat ke saath. Bar Muhammad wal Muhammad bulantar salawat. مبارک مبارک تمہیں یا نبی علی اور زہرا کی شادی ہوئی سنو فرش والوں سنو فرش والوں سنو عرش والوں سنو فرش والوں میں صحرا علی کا سنانے چلا ہوں. سب مل کے یار سنو عرش والوں سنو فرش والوں میں صحرا علی کا سنانے چلا ہوں. جو سن کر یہ صحرا ہے جلتے ہمیشہ، جو سن کر یہ صحرا ہے جلتے ہمیشہ، انہیں اور بھی میں جلانے چلا. حیدری علی بیشمال یا علی. جو سن کر یہ صحرا ہے جلتے ہمیشہ، جو سن کر یہ صحرا ہے جلتے ہمیشہ، انہیں اور بھی میں جلانے چلا ہوں. پڑھوں تیرے دادا کی شادی کا منظر، اے میرے امام زمانہ مدد کر، مولا مدد کر. تصور میں ہر ایک مومن محب کو علی کا براتی بنانے چلا ہوں. سب مل کے نعرہ حیدری. اور خدا کہتا ہوگا اگر ہوتا کعبہ میرے گھر سے ہی جاتی بارات اس کی، بارات اس کی. یہ میرا ولی ہے سو اس کے لیے میں مدینے کو کعبہ بنانے چلا ہوں. سنو عرش والوں، سب پر میرے ساتھ سنو عرش والوں سنو فرش والوں میں صحرا علی کا سنانے ہوں. جو سن کر یہ صحرا ہے جلتے ہمیشہ، انہیں اور بھی میں جلانے چلا ہوں. سنو عرش والوں سنو فرش والوں میں صحرا علی کا سنانے چلا ہوں. علی دا سونا علی کلندر ماں. سب مل کے نعرہ حیدری.
صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. I'd like to thank the Sayyid for the amazing, amazing recitation. Can we have a loud salawat in his honor? So we've had English recitation, we've had Urdu, and now we are going to have some spoken word poetry by Brother Zainawan. After loud salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
فرجهم. One more salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. First and foremost, big thank you to the organizers for inviting me. Sit on the stage or stand? No, I think sitting is. Sorry, where? Here, wherever I'm comfortable. कागज नहीं है आज इसलिए तो मैं इसलिए बैठ रहा हूँ आपके साथ ही इंशाल्लाह. But now being inspired by all the recitations about Amir al-Mu'mineen, there's no Jashan without the praise of Amir al-Mu'mineen. So I'd prepared 2 poems, allow me to 3 if possible. Because the task of describing Amir al-Mu'mineen is a really difficult task. Because how do you begin to write the praise of him when God himself named him Ali? When he gave in ruku, I would call him Sakhi, the generous, and when his hand was raised by the Nabi, I would call him my Mawla and the true Wasi, Abu Turab, the father of earth in your land in Najaf. You make gems of dirt and you turned hopeless sinners like us into your lovers. You are the father of alchemy. And they do not want me to say that he is the splitter of heaven and hell. But what do you call he who is the father of those that preside over heaven itself? Who is honored with the birth of this child? Was it the Kaaba or the truth that its defender was born in it? Allow me to say for that night then, Baytullah became Bayt al-Ali. And they will tell me not to say such, as though they can deny the cracks of the past in the present. But what is he if not Naba al-Azim, the great news? But what can I say when he was the teacher of Jibra'il, the preacher of the pulpit? Saluni, Saluni, ask me before you lose me. The hand of God, the voice that spoke when on ascension the beloved returned, only to find he was in deep sleep in defense of the prophet, the Aaron to Moses, my hope to my sorrows, the door that fortified the city of Muhammad and his wisdom, the promised sign of God that was revealed and his sons that defended like their father the legacy of light and whose eyes became endowed with divine sight. And when he led in battle, they called him Imam al-Muttaqeen. So I will call him my Imam and Amir al-Mu'mineen. And I will say his love is the distinction of Muslim and Munafiqeen. With one smile, his name tells me about your birthright. Ya Ali. He is the right, my blood, and the guide. And he has always been with God, and he is the truth and has never left my side. And these are not my poems, but the words of Muhammad that I recite. So when in my grave, I will turn to no other. I will recite his name. And I will say his love is the distinction of Muslim and Munafiqeen. See, when I say his name, why is it some faces gleam? Is it that he is with the truth, that he is the guide, and he has never left my side? And these are not the poems of myself, but the words of Muhammad that I recite. So when in my grave I will turn to no other, I will recite his name and give his praise and give honor to our mother who birthed me with the name of my master, who fed me his love as she fed me her soul, who when in weakness her strength was his call. I will turn to Ali. And by the sake of the Kaaba he was born in, and by his light and by his grace, I will call his name, so that in my grave the light of the Most High will touch the skies, where his name rings the bell of heaven. He is that Ali. Why are they shocked when I sing his praise? Why are my beliefs compromised when his status I raise? When the Lord himself gave his own title as my Mawla's name. After Al-Murtada, the Lord's cherished one, was also his praise. So I end where I start, a circle that circumambulates, much like we who circle his birthplace. You don't need to get worried. Much like we who circle his birthplace, I am Aliul A'la. So Muhammad, today you name your defender from my prestigious name, O Ahmad, my beloved. Tell them it is my sign that from heaven I have sent to you. Tell them that his name is from my own as he is from me. Tell them, O Muhammad, truly he is Ali. Ya Ali hada. Okay, this. There can't be Jashan without a bit of tabarra too. To allow me, Bismillah. If only they knew what Fadak was. You record what I? Interesting. ठीक है चलो कोई मसला नहीं बिस्मिल्लाह जान दो अली अली चलो. Do not ask at which point her reign stops. For when she stands, the prophet rises in her presence, and angels with the trumpets call, Fatima has arrived. For do not then say, to what extent is her power present? For when in her presence the Lord sends greetings to that door of Fatima and presents presents of food to the floor where she sits. You thought with Fadak, Fatima created for land beyond. You thought that Fatima cared for Fadak like land beyond. Have you understood that the earth, the blazing sun, the bowing stars, the gracious galaxies, the crashing waves, the eternal seas are her property, all? And the proprietor is she who, God says, made the universe for the sake of those that sit under the cloak. And when all the doors were closed, only one would remain open. So the prophet says, only the door of Ali and Fatima will remain. So if you claimed this land to be your own, so be it then. Your nation can have it. Tear it for lots like you tore her sons. But what about the skies above? Do your hands in shadows operate like shadowy dealings that dealt upon Saqifa's plains? It's plain to us who see her and her presence. It's plain to the prophet that you ardently claim is yours. So much so when his soul left and you left his body to his inheritor. And in awe you ask, why does Fatima care for Fadak? For in this minuscule part of land, so you call, is the gifting that exposes your exposition of your so-called threaded plots and plans to claim upon this land that you are inheritors of Muhammad's name. How can you claim upon it when his body with only Ali remained? For what will you do, those that undo the words and endowments of God's sublime sign? For he does not move or walk or speak without the right of the divine. And if you were to say, Fadak is not to be hers, what will you do when the land you seek is anything but hers? And what of the throne of Fatima then? Will you sit your daughters and mothers upon it, like the one who sits upon the camel to claim that she could not stand? She could not stand. Why Muhammad in Fatima's presence rose, Saqifa to Safin to Karbala, and then you still all say Ufair is in this war, so whose side do you stand upon? Truly, it is not just your enmity with Fatima that in Fadak is exposed. It's your hatred of Ali and vengeance against Muhammad that sows the seeds of corruption that breeds upon them. The nation that you claim as your own, you spread this religion of mercy with swords laced with poison and ask, why do they curse upon her enemies? For again, why does the Lord himself define? Why does he himself curse those that contradict her nature divine? Come back to Fadak and sit as you sat around the Saqifa fire, plotting how to take the reign of the blood of the Prophet from him and claim at times, indeed, he was a deluded liar. But then what will you do, O sons of fathers who you cannot claim? when upon heaven itself lies Fatima's reign. She is the eagle that soars upon the judgment plains, picking lovers like seeds and interceding as she finds. How will you claim then upon heaven's door to this is your right? For you can call the nation and the empire usurped like her right. But what of the heavens for the queen? Herself she presides with her sons as the princes and her husband as the king, her father as the source. So tell me, if Fadak was the land ordained by Muhammad to Fatima, and this is her right, the nation usurped it from her. But how will they usurp heaven from us as it's our right? So this is not the battle, of course, for land upon which you claim. It is about your treason and the vengeance of your fathers, the ones that your mothers could claim slain. It is about your movements in the shadows and your plots to steal in this life. But what will you do upon the judgment day when sits Ali's wife? For the Lord will call, today is your day, O Fatima. Do as you wish, my beloved. Then what will be of those that took fadak from the queen, and those that in part took their words as their deen? To follow Fatima is to testify to her prophetic bestowed might. So cursed be the one who then dares to usurp fadak from her right. Okay, final poem, inshallah. When writing this poem, coming across the different fadail of Sayyidah Fatima, one is not just shocked, but is humbled by the fact that there is no ways to describe her, and therefore, as the hadith says, that she is named Fatima, because nobody will be truly able to understand her. So this poem is called Laylatul Qadr, because it is also one of the titles of Sayyidah Fatima, and many of the Imam have likened her to the night of Qadr. From Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, we have narrations from Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. To knock on the door of grace is the etiquette of angels. They have been taught and they embrace. Here stands the angel of death himself, seeking permission before permitting himself to the soul of the prophet. And I see Jibreel, head bowed, awaiting permission to enter. O Jibreel, did you seek permission when revelation descended on the heart of Muhammad? But for the house sits the beloved of Muhammad, the protector and the enigma of the divine grace. The Zahir apparent was the fleshed heart of Muhammad. The batin esoteric soul lies within the daughter he will go on to call his mother, for she is Laylatul Qadr. With a movement of her hands, she changes the fate of man. She commands with her voice the ground that quakes in tandem with her. And what is the night of power? That her sons refer to her as such, and the divine spreads his names across the skies and earth, so we could try and comprehend the godsend, the union, and our arrival. But what of the names of Fatima? I find the ground whispers, she is Abida, the devout and devoted. Al-Qanita, subdued in the divine names as though breaths bead her tasbih of love. Al-Adila, who when she judges is fair and right. Al-Alima, the absolute complete mind. And Al-Aliya, she is Ali in the feminine form. The defender of Ali's might. Al-Amila, who in God's path strives. Afdhul Nisa, no woman can dare to supersede her side. And when she retreats to her mihrab, she is Al-Arifa, the possessor of secrets divine. Al-Zahra, the chaste and protected. Al-Aziza, the utmost respected. Al-Basita, the one who maximizes prosperity. And in adversity and calamity, she is Sabira, the patient. For in her lies the divine, and nestled in intrinsic awe, she is Batina, Al-Batul, the purest of them all, Bid'at al-Rasul, the sapling that blossomed the forest from the flesh of prophethood, Dania, the woman of true liberty, ضر النور, for with her footsteps scatter the gems of light that even angels fall from the heavens to gather. And when she spoke in the court of the tyrant, she became the queen that on the mountain of eloquence resides Al-Fasiha. She is Al-Fatiha, the opening, the flowering of guidance, Al-Kamila, the completion. For with her began the imamates, and with her blood it will seal. She is Habiba, the beloved of the beloved, the lover and the loved. Hajia, the pilgrim that the Kaaba itself awaits. And her soul is the custodian of divine wisdom. She is Hakima. Halima, for have you seen a queen so compassionate and gentle that she cannot tolerate the cries of the orphan, the captive, the destitute? So she gives when she fasts the noble Sa'ima. Asahibatul Atiyya, giver of goodness, Hadira, she who is in presence with God, she who is at presence with God, she who is at the call of God. And when they tried to sanction her mourning, they did not understand that you cannot contain the cries of Zahra, for she is God's Hurriya. No man can contain her freedom. Hujjata, the mother of the proofs of mankind, and is the proof upon them, as a Sadiq would say, who on the Hijaz plains where daughters were buried, she in the prophetic glance was raised, Al-Hijaziyya, and on the scales of motherhood. Tell me of a father that called his daughter. No, tell me of a prophet that called his daughter Abiha. For her mercy cannot be contained. They called her Hania, Kitab, the mother of the book. Hur al-Insiya, the angels metamorphosized, Al-Jalila, Al-Jamila, the woman of stature sublime, Al-Kalimatul Baqiyya, whose words till the end we will recite, for in truth she is crowned, Al-Karima, the glorious, and she is the sign that proved those that doubted Muhammad Al-Kawthar, the river that flows from heaven and will never dry, for she is Al-Mardiyya, who God is content with, Al-Radiyya, who is content with God's will. For even Maryam knows that Fatima is Maryam al-Kubra. She is al-Mubaraka, the blessings of her womb still till today will bless salvation. Immaculate conception, she is of noble birth, and Najiba al-Musaliha, for from her revolutions are birthed. Al-Mutahhara al-Tahira, the thoroughly purified, the purifier, and Ali's counsel to his troubled heart, al-Nasiha. And she will stand witness to his broken heart, Nadhiratul Bashar, the watchful eye upon mankind, and Najiyah, a savior that saves even though she is wounded, and Nuria, that obliterates darkness with her light, and Naqiyya, a Taqiyya, a Sadiqa, the source of every Imam's light, a Salihah, the witness, al Salima, in perfect submission, for upon the seal of prophethood she is a Shahida. For from her blossoms the garden of might and light. For she is Shajara Tayyibah, the tree of purity. And in her power revealed, she is a Dhahira. For enwrapped all together, he named her Fatima.
صل على محمد وآل محمد. I'd like to thank Zainawam for the beautiful pieces of poetry. May Allah bless you abundantly. And so that's the first segment of the program. We've had the free recitations. Now the second segment will be a lecture by Brother Ibrahim Al-Ansari. And then we will have recitations by Yusuf Ali Okera, Hamad Al-Nashid, and Mullah Rashid Haidar. Before I invite Brother Ibrahim on, I see that there's quite a few people have come. If you can please come a bit forward, because we are expecting a bit more people to come after last salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. to you how you like to sit, how you're comfortable.
Sorry. Ahsant. Yeah, that's fine. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, before I start, if you give me permission to recite a couple of lines in the Arabic language, inshallah. يا آل يا آل بيت رسول الله حبكم فرض من الله في القرآن أنزله كفاءكم من عظيم الشأن أنكم من لم يصل عليكم لا صلاة له. صلوات. لي خمسة نطفي بهم حر الجحيم الحاطمة المصطفى والمرتضى المصطفى والمرتضى وابناهما وفاطمة. صلوات. يا أول نور قد صور وبه كل نبي بشر يا أول نور قد صور وبه كل نبي بشر إنا أعطيناك الزهراء إنا أعطيناك الزهراء إنا أعطيناك الكوثر. صلوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام عليكم everyone ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jazakum Allah khair. Thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to serve at this wonderful community. And honestly, just from the very first few recitations and the wonderful poetry recited by Brother Zain, the atmosphere truly feels like a true wiladat atmosphere. And it is very important, especially with all this decoration. And there's the balloons falling already. Especially with all of this decoration, it is very important, which is why Imam al-Sadiq alayhi afdal salati was salam would say ahyu amrana. Yes, and ahyu many times meaning can be lost with translation. But if we want to translate it literally means aliven our cause. And this is the true meaning of keeping that cause alive.
through two ways. Number one is during the mourning occasions through the tear, and through the joyous occasions through this wonderful gathering, through the remembrance of Al Bayt Muhammad, their fada'il, as well as these beautiful little touches. They make a very big difference. So jazakumullah khair jaza for everything that you have done, and we recite your salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We send our congratulations to the Imam of our time, to our great Maraja', and to the whole Islamic Ummah, no, in fact, to all of mankind, on the birth anniversary of the Lady of Light, Fatima Zahra alayha wassalam. And honestly, when coming to talk about Fatima Zahra, it is very difficult to start. And honestly, when I wanted to see where I should go with today's talk, the part that I struggled with the most is how am I going to start? Because truly, how does one start to talk about Fatima Zahra alayha wassalam? The most noble of ladies, and the most perfect of ladies. In fact, not just ladies, no, the third most perfect human being to have ever walked on this earth. What an amazing status this is. And you find on top of that you look at all the Imams being the hujjaj of Allah, the proof of Allah upon the creation, whereas Imam al-Hasan al-Askari would say, and Fatima is hujjatullah on us. What an amazing status this lady has. Now, of course, the presence of such a lady and the birth of such a lady would not be for no reason at all. There must be reasons to the birth of this lady, and these reasons must come from a hikmah ilahiyya, from Allah's wisdom. The existence of specific individuals within history, trust me, it is not without any wisdom. There is clear wisdom within the creation of every single important human being, with the most important of them being our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa which would follow on to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, as well as Fatima Zahra alayha wassalam, whom we are remembering today. And here I want to address three possible reasons behind the wisdom of this great noble birth. And again, the reason I say possible reasons is because these reasons do not necessarily have to come to be true. They could be true, but from a logical point of view, when we look at these reasons, maybe these reasons allow us to connect more with this lady. And this is something very important for us. Number one, the first thing, and by the way, I know because especially with all the anashid that was recited before, the last thing someone wants to do is listen to Ibrahim talk for an hour. So inshallah, I won't be doing that. I will keep this as short as possible, inshallah. Ya Ali, Jazakallah khair. The very first part is the miracle of her birth. You see, we know Fatima Zahra, and the miracle of her birth is that Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, on the event of Isra and Mi'raj, he was taken up to the heavens where he was presented with a fruit in the seventh heaven. And from this fruit came Fatima Zahra alayha afdal salatu wassalam. Which is why we say that Fatima Zahra hawra'un insiyya, a heavenly human. Because truly she came from heaven itself. Why do I mention this as a first reason then? About the wisdom of her birth. From her birth was the first stage in which she can separate truth from falsehood. And here you're going to ask me why. Go and look at all the books of those who do not give the right status to this great lady. Look at the year that they write. You see, it's a simple thing, yes? But look at the year that they write her birth was in. What year do they say? 5 years before Ba'tha. 5 years before the Ba'tha of the Prophet. Whereas we say that the birth of Lady Fatima is 5 years after the Ba'tha of the Prophet. Some faces have become confused. So what? 10 years apart, it's not going to make much of a difference, is it? No, it will. Of course, it will make a difference. They tried to take away that miracle of her birth. For the Isra and Mi'raj didn't happen before the Ba'tha, it happened after the Ba'tha. And that is how you find that the very first thing is through her birth, already you can separate truth from falsehood. Instantly. 5 years after Ba'tha was the true year in which Fatima Zahra was born. And then you might ask me, okay, do you say this just because you're Shia, because you want to believe in the Isra and Mi'raj story and all of that? No, of course not. You see, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi afsatu was-salam, a very beautiful narration he has that we can all relate to, inshallah. He says, نحن أبناء الدليل. We are the sons of evidence. Not only do we use evidence, no, we are the sons of evidence. And it is important here, as a side note, for us to understand that evidence does not just lie upon the Quran and Sunnah. And Sunnah here means what the Ma'sumin have said, did, or approved of. The ziyarat or the ad'iyah, the du'as that we recite, are a big proof and there's major evidence within them in regards to a lot of our aqa'id. Because you look, for example, at the time of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi afsatu wassalam, with the Umayyad oppression, the best way that Imam Zainul Abidin saw for him to spread the knowledge of Al Muhammad is through dua, correct? Similarly, you will find something very similar and especially focused on aqa'id during the time of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salatu wasalam. And this, by the way, if you look at, for example, Ziyarah Jama'a, you will find the amount of aqa'id there is in there in terms of the Ma'sumin alayhim salatu wasalam, their presence, the reason of their existence, their names, their attributes, etc. Look at Ziyarah Jama'a. Amazing. Just read the translation if you cannot understand the Arabic. It is amazing. So these are all important for us to take, because what are they? They are also narrations. Many times we say, okay, where is this narration found? We want to hear from this person. The Imam said, no, not necessarily. Because the Ziyarah of the Ma'sum is also a narration, correct? And that is why when you look at Ziyarat Warith of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afsatu wassalam by Imam al-Sadiq, sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. What does he bear witness? He says, أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها. Correct? I bear witness that you were a light in the pure wombs. A light. Imam al-Hussein, you were what? A light in the pure wombs. The impurities of Jahiliyyah, of the ignorant, did not impurify you at all. Our scholars, when commenting on this, would say this is the biggest proof that Fatima Zahra would come from heaven. How? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen and Rasulullah are this great light. And when you look at their ancestors, there's a great light. No sign of any of those that were part of Jahiliyyah. And then you look at Fatima Zahra, who then here some scholars differ. Some scholars say that from Lady Khadija's line, there might have been some who were from those who were ignorant. However, this would prove that she wasn't in the wombs of the mothers of Lady Khadija, her foremothers. Rather, she came directly from heaven. So this is the very first point. The second point, so we looked at the miracle of her birth. The second thing is the mercy of her birth. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam was sent as a mercy to mankind. One of the ways in which this mercy was embodied is through the birth of Lady Fatima Zahra alayha afdal salati wassalam. How is that? You look, for example, during that time in Arabia, the birth of a daughter was seen as something disgraceful, something that used to cause men to weep, not cry, no, weep, as if they have just lost someone very dear to them. They would cry that much. Some of them, that would be the cause for them to go and hit their wives. It's because of you, I have a daughter, I want a son. Some of them would go and bury their daughter alive. And it was seen as if, and by the way, unfortunately, today some communities also have this, that from the daughter there is no lineage. That the main lineage of a family goes from the son only. Whatever happens from the daughter, straight away it's ascribed to whoever it is from the father's side. And then the actual mother's side have nothing to do with it at all. Whereas, by the way, if you look very recently, Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari, Ayatollah Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari, may Allah bless his soul, the great marja. Afwan? Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari, may Allah bless his soul, he had 2 daughters. From those two daughters, one of them a Sayyid married, and the other a normal person married, a non-Sayyid. Both of those daughters, the grandsons, were referred to Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari. They are both known as Sibt al-Sheikh al-Ansari. Both daughters. Their sons, and keeping in mind one of them was Sayyid, but their surname also became Sibt al-Sheikh al-Ansari. So it is nice to see that this in the religious community, no, there is still that importance given. And that is why that man would come to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and he would say to him that you are abtar. You are abtar. You have no progeny, O Rasulullah. O Muhammad, you have no progeny. The reply from Allah is, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. We have given you an abundance of blessings, also known as Fatima al-Zahra. Because it was through her that the lineage of Rasulullah came. Who else would survive to an age where they are able to bear children from the sons or daughters, whatever you want to ascribe to the Holy Prophet? Even you can give the Prophet as many sons and daughters as you wish, right? As much as you wish. But give me one of them that at least had a lineage. There isn't, except for that of Lady Fatima al-Zahra alayha afdalu salati wassalam. So that is number one. At a time where Arabs would say, do you know what, from my daughter there's no lineage, Allah would give the best of his creation, his lineage, to be only from a female daughter. Number one. Number two, the treatment of the father and daughter, even if they decided to keep that daughter and say, okay, I want to keep the daughter, the treatment would be as though her presence in the house is a disgrace. And her presence in the house, it hits whatever honor there is in the family. To an extent where some would narrate that daughters could not even look their father into their face at all. They can't even look at them in the face because they're too shy because of how they were made to feel. Whereas you look at the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The narration says that when Fatima would enter the room, he would run to her barefoot. He wouldn't even take time to put on something on his... No, he would run to her barefoot. He would embrace her, kiss her, sit her in his own place. Look at the treatment, where the difference came. And then he would say that whenever I yearn for heaven, I would smell Fatima. And look at how everything just changed. The scales changed totally. Through what? The birth of Fatima al-Zahra. A mercy to mankind her birth was. A mercy. A true father-daughter relationship that can be used as the prime example till the end of time. And by the way, you look at, for example, the relationship that they had. This is something very important to mention. that it wasn't an extreme of either measure. It wasn't the extreme of I'm going to make her feel as if she is dishonoring the family, and it wasn't the extreme of you are mine, nothing is, that's it, you stay here, you don't go anywhere. No, 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 not at all. He raised her in such a way, in such a healthy environment, such that whenever there was a need for her to show a strong presence, she was able to. Only when needed, of course. But she was able to the extent where am I getting all of this from? To the extent where, when she would walk out to the masjid of Rasulullah, the narrators would narrate, and the narrators are from the enemies, they would say that her walk was no different to the walk of her father, Rasulullah. And by the way, this was also applied by Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima al-Zahra with their daughter. Because when their daughter would stand in the masjid of Kufa, what would they say? Interestingly, not as if she spoke like her mother. No, it's as if she is speaking from the tongue of her father. Imagine how much time and effort her father would give her for her to have that. This is something very important. And this is a subject by itself, by the way. The third and final is a narration that Brother Zain alluded to beautifully in his poetry, which is the hadith Qudsi that Ya Ahmed lawlaka lama khalaqtul aflak. Oh Ahmed, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have created the universe. Walawla Ali lama khalaqtuk. And if it wasn't for Ali, I wouldn't have created you. Walawla Fatima lama khalaqtukuma. And if it wasn't for Fatima, I wouldn't have created either of you. Here, I want to stop at this narration because many times we hear this narration, and this narration is of such magnitude and it makes us happy as lovers of the Ahlul Bayt in terms of this great status that it gives them, that they become the core of all existence. And I have spoken as well about this narration. I would put them, sometimes when I talk about Fatima Zahra especially, I would always find a place to put it somewhere in my talk. However, it's important for us to stop at it for just a second. For once, let's stop and assess this narration. What is the whole point of this narration, and how does it link to what we are talking about today? What about her birth? First of all, it is important for us to look at the Holy Quran, because if we want to come with a logical explanation of this narration, we have to look at the correct teachings and the correct words that come either from Allah or the Holy Prophet or his household. The Quran, multiple times it would mention the word sakhara. I won't translate it yet. Just bear with me for a second. For example, sakhara lakum al-bahr. Another one in Surah Luqman, ayah number 20. Surah Luqman, ayah number 20. أَلَمْ تَرَوْا أَنَّ اللَّهَ سَخَّرَ لَكُمُ السَّمَاوَاتَ وَالْأَرْضِ. Did you not see that Allah, in brackets, sakhara, for you, the heavens and the earth? Sakhara, it is difficult to translate it. However, in short, it would mean something that becomes subject to you, something that is at your disposal, something, you all know where I'm going with this, yes? I can see some smiles over here. So we've understood the word sakhara, yes? Okay. Now, sakhara lakum, it is general. It is clearly talking to human being, correct? Now, can this be to every single human being, whether that human being is zalim or whether that human being is good? Of course not. That wouldn't make sense at all. So we can't generalize this for every single human being to have walked this earth. Therefore, the only other logical explanation that this would be made for the most perfect human being to have walked this earth. And that is none other than Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Allah kept this samawat wal ard and everything created at the disposal of who? The Holy Prophet. Now, a logical explanation sometimes can lead us into other directions. However, no, this is backed up by Hadith al-Kisa. Correct or no? In Hadith al-Kisa, you would recite that ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا... Isn't that what you recite? Everything was created for what? إلا لمحبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. For those 5 that are under the kisa. This is why I have created all of this. It is at their disposal. So it is for the holy prophets. And that is why the first part of the narration, Ya Ahmed, oh Ahmed, لولاك لما خلقت الأفلاك. Why? Because I needed that perfect human to walk this earth for me, to do the سخر السماوات والأرض for them, to keep that at their disposal. Then we come to the second part. ولولا علي لما خلقتك. Why? Why? We want to go to Quran, yes? Why? يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك. O Prophet, convey to the people, O Messenger, convey to the people what has come down to you from your Lord. وإن لم تفعل, and if you don't, then what happens? فما بلغت رسالته. You have not conveyed his message, Allah's message. Then he would come and he would stand on that day, the day of Ghadir, and he would say that من كنت مولاه فهذا علي. This, whoever I am a master over, whoever I am in charge of, Ali is also a master. He is also in charge of them. Correct? Then what does Allah say? اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي. And what else? وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. Today I have completed for you your religion. Today, through the wilaya of Amir al-Mu'minin. Therefore, even the presence of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the risala and message that he came with can only be completed with the wilaya of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib, which is why, and if it wasn't for Ali, I wouldn't have created you. It wouldn't make sense for Allah to create everything at the disposal of a human being, and for that when that human being is gone, that for there to not be anyone to complete what that person came with. Correct? And that is why Amir al-Mu'mineen would be the flag bearer of that message, and which is why his existence is necessary, and which is why that without him the existence of the Prophet, I don't want to say not complete, because his existence is complete. However, the message that he held with his existence wouldn't be complete. And that is from Quran that we just recited. Then the third part of the narration, وَلَوْلَا فَاطِمَ لَمَا خَلَقْتُكُمَا. And if it wasn't for Fatima, I wouldn't have created either of you. Where does she lie in this equation? That's the question. Where? I ask you the same question I asked you earlier. Where else did the lineage of Rasulullah come from? Wasn't it through Fatima? Who else is the hujjah upon all the imams? Isn't it Fatima? Do you not read in the narration that in Alamul Anwar, when Allah would make the light of Muhammad, then he would make the light of Ali, then he would combine them to make the light of Fatima? And if it wasn't for Fatima, I wouldn't have created either of you. Her existence was necessary for the survival of this message. Her birth was necessary for the survival of this message. And this is just in one way in which we can understand the reason for her birth. The reason for her birth. Number one, the miracle and how it separates truth from falsehood. Number two is, who can help me? Ahsantum, the mercy. And number three, the reason of her existence. The reason of her existence. And this, my dear brothers, my dear sisters, my uncles, this honestly does not come close for us to understand what Fatima is. Because when you look at her names, and you look, for example, at the name Fatima, and beautifully, Brother Zain would allude to this, to the fact that فطم الناس عن معرفتها. The people would not be able to understand her true self. What else? وَفُطِمُوا مُحِبِّيهَا مِنَ النَّارِ. Her lovers would never enter hellfire. وَفُطِمَ مُعَادِيهَا مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ. And her enemies would never enter his heavens. And this, I want to finish today talking about this Fatima, where her lovers would be denied access to hellfire. A beautiful narration, and I think it would be the best for us to all end with, which is the narration of Imam al-Baqir alayhi afdal salati wassalam, where he would say that on the day of judgment there would be a caller that would call out, lower your gaze, for Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, wants to pass. She would be the fastest of those that would pass the Sirat. She would stand by the door of heaven. She would turn around to Allah. She would say, oh Allah, allow these people to understand my status. He would say to her, come back and choose whomever you wish to enter with you into my heavens. And she would choose from her Shia. This is very important. She would choose from her Shia, just like a bird would choose the good seed from the bad seed. They would go with her to heaven. They would stop at the door of heaven. They would say, oh Allah, allow these people to understand our status. Who? Those who were chosen by Fatima. He would say to them, come back and choose whomever you wish. They would choose some people. They would go to the door of heaven. Now, who did we reach? Not the ones that were chosen by Fatima. No, the ones that were chosen by those who were chosen by Fatima would stand. They would say, oh Allah, allow these people to understand our status. And he would say to them, choose whoever you wish to enter into heaven with you. The narration would end with Imam al-Baqir saying that whoever helped anyone for the love of Fatima, whoever clothed anyone for the love of Fatima, whoever fed anyone for the love of Fatima would enter heaven with Fatima, and no one will be left except a kafir or a hypocrite. Does this not summarize the status of Fatima al-Zahra? Does this not summarize the birth of Fatima al-Zahra? And this is why I want to end by saying that let's, in the same way that Fatima al-Zahra is the core of all existence, let's make her the core of all our life. Whatever we do for the love of Fatima al-Zahra. Very important. And Fatima al-Zahra has a special place in the heart of Sahib al-Zaman, by the way. A very special place in the heart of Sahib al-Zaman. You want to get closer to Sahib al-Zaman, get closer to Fatima al-Zahra. Fatima al-Zahra, when we come to do anything that we want to do, let's do it for the love of Fatima al-Zahra, so that inshallah, even if you want to help someone, you know, sometimes you would walk into the supermarket and you see someone hungry outside and you say, do you know what, I'll buy you a sandwich. Would you like a sandwich? And they'll say yes. Buy that sandwich for the love of Fatima al-Zahra. Who knows, maybe on that day, that is what we need. This is the intercession we need. The intercession that we did, this action for the love of Fatima al-Zahra. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
صلى على محمد وآل محمد. I'd like to thank Ibrahim for that beautiful lecture, and can we all have a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad in his honor. And that concludes the second part of the program. And inshallah, for the final part, we'll have 3 more recitations, and there will be tabarruk or niyaz, whatever you like to call it, afterwards. So please stay behind, inshallah. And can we please invite Mullah Rashid Haidar for for his recitation after Allah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
يا علي محمد وآل محمد بلنتر صلوات على محمد. حب النبي الهاشمي ديني، حب النبي الهاشمي ديني، صلى عليه واهب اليقين، صلى عليه واهب اليقين، صلى عليه واهب اليقين، فنظرة من رمش طرف عينيه لا 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 شك تكفيني، لا شك تكفيني. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you all, my dear brothers and sisters. Congratulations to you all on the birth of the Lady of Light, Fatima to Zahra. Salamullahi alayha. Inshallah, today I'd like to honor Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The words are very simple. The words are very simple, and I need your help, your amazing voices, brothers. So please, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. حبيبي يا محمد، حبيبي حبيبي يا محمد، حبيبي حبيبي يا محمد، حبيبي حبيبي يا محمد، حبيبي. The great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad, the great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad, Habibi, Ya Muhammad, Habib, Habibi, Ya Muhammad, Habib, Habibi, Ya Muhammad, Habibi, Ya Muhammad, Habibi, the great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad, the great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad. Today is the day we celebrate the best of creation, Habibi ya Habib. Today is the day we celebrate the best of creation. Today is the day God graced us with His greatest salvation, Habibi ya Habib. Clap your hands together and let's celebrate as one nation, Habibi ya Habib. Shout with your loudest voice and let's celebrate as one nation, Habib. Hey, raise and clap. Let's all rejoice together. Smile and let's all rejoice together. Raise your hands. Let's all rejoice together. Shout aloud. Let's all rejoice together. So the heavens can hear us. Angels descend among us. They recite alongside us. For Muhammad, Habibi. Ya Muhammad, Habibi. Habib. Voices, voices. Ya Ya Muhammad. Ya Muhammad. The great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad. The great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad. Today is the day we celebrate the best of creation, Habibi. Today is the day God graced us with His greatest salvation, Habibi. Clap your hands together and let's celebrate as one nation, Habibi. Hey, shout with your loudest voice and let's celebrate as one nation, Habibi. Hey, raise and clap, let's all rejoice together. Smile and let's all rejoice together. Raise your hands, let's all rejoice together. Shout aloud, let's all rejoice together. So the heavens can hear us, angels descend among us. They recite alongside us. For Muhammad, Habibi, Ya Muhammad. Habibi, Ya Muhammad. Habibi, Ya Muhammad. Ya Muhammad, Habibi, the great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad, the great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah. Hey, he was sent down as the greatest of mercy to mankind, Habibiyah. He was sent down as the greatest of mercy to mankind, Habibi. There is none like him that you will ever be able to find, Habibi, ya Habib. If you follow his path, then with heaven you will be aligned, Habibi, ya Habib. This includes to follow the hand raised that Ghadir left behind. Habibi, ya Habib, hold firm to the rope of our Lord. Hold firm to my family and their Lord. Hold firm to your master after I leave. Hold firm to the Tov I leave after me. The one I chose to lead you is the greatest among you. They recite the greatest in the heavens. Haidar Karrar, Habibi, Ya Muhammad, Habibi, Habibi, Ya Muhammad, Habibi, Habibi, Ya Muhammad. Jawab, Ya Muhammad. The great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad. The great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad. One more time, Habibi, Ya Muhammad. Habibi, Ya Muhammad. Hey, Habibi. The great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad. The great Habib of Allah, the great Nabi of Allah, the great Rasul of Allah, O Muhammad. Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali. علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي 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 مولا علي 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 مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي حب علي فوز الشيعي غدا حب علي فوز الشيعي فامدد لي في يوم حسابي يدا إن صلاتي ثم صيامي إذا لم يشفع لي حيدر ضاعت صدى علي علي مولا علي علي مولا علي علي مولى علي علي مولى علي علي مولى علي 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 مولى علي علي مولى علي حب علي فوز الشيعي غدا حب علي فوز الشيعي فامدد لي في يوم حسابي يدا إن صلاتي ثم صيامي إن صلاتي ثم صيامي لم يشفع لي حيدر ضاعت سدى علي علي مولى علي 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 مولى علي علي مولى علي علي يشهد ربي أن بروحي له حبا دوما قلبي فيه شدا سهر الهادي أنت مرادي علي سهر الهادي أنت مرادي علي 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 مولى علي علي مولى علي علي مولى علي 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 مولى علي 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 مولى علي علي مولى علي علي مولى علي نجا كربلاء مولى علي علي مولى علي علي مولى علي 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 مولى علي علي مولى علي علي مولى one more time علي علي مولى علي 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 مولى علي 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 مولى علي علي مولى علي
الله أكبر صل على محمد وآل محمد. I'd like to thank Rashid for that amazing piece of recitation. May Allah bless him abundantly. And next we have none other than a poet, a reciter, someone who Rashid admires greatly, Mullah Nashid. Can you please come to the stage after Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad? Would you like to hold the mic?
No, we just sit down, yeah? Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Nathan, come sit down. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and congratulations. Ahsantum Sheikh, Ahsantum brother, mashallah. Unfortunately, the only poetry I've written, well, not unfortunately, but the only poetry I've written for Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, as you know, is for the Masa'ib of Fatima Zahra. I won't be reciting that now, don't worry. But inshallah, we'll recite something for Amir Mu'mineen. Inshallah, if you can, one or two poems, inshallah. Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Ali Ali Maula, Haidar Maula, Ali Ali 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 Maula. Naturally I will start with the Most High. Naturally I will start with the Most High. Lord of the seas, Lord of the seven skies. Naturally I will start with the Most High. Lord of the sea, Lord of the seven skies. Peace on Muhammad and salutations. Congratulations on this occasion. After Muhammad, who is your master? Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla. Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar Mawla, Nasibi, I have a sincere question. Nasibi, I have a sincere question. Nasibi, I have a sincere question. Since when was God's choice an election? Nasibi, I have a sincere question. Since when was God's choice an election? From Adam to the best of creation, revelation after revelation. I'm the rejecter, I'm the rejecter, you're the elector. I'm the rejecter, you're the elector. Guess on the Kothar, who's giving water? Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla. Khadim, Nasibi, I have a sincere question. Nasibi, I have a sincere question. Since when was God's choice an election? From Adam to the best of creation, revelation after revelation. I'm the rejecter, you're the elector. I'm the rejecter, you're the elector. Guess on the Kothar, who's giving water? Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar Mawla. Nasibi, I would love to convince you. Nasibi, I would love to convince you, but at the same time, I have an issue. Nasibi, I would love to convince you, but at the same time, I have an issue. When I visit my Mawla Haidar, there's not enough space for me to get through, so I would rather you stick to your Mawla. Let me breathe air next to my Mawla. Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla. La Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla. Your enemies, Haidar, never faze me. Your enemies, Haidar, never faze me. But they never ever cease to amaze me. Your enemy, Haidar, never faze me. But they never ever cease to amaze me. They said I worship stones like an idol. They hesitate and they turn suicidal. They cannot they cannot understand when I explain. Maybe they have a stone in their membrane. Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Haidar. Your enemies, Haidar, never faze me. Your enemies, Haidar, never faze me. But they never ever cease to amaze me. They said I worship stone like an idol. They hesitate and they turn suicidal. They cannot understand what I explain. Maybe they have a stone in their membrane. Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla. La Ali Ali Mawla, Ali Ali Mawla. Mawla in the valley. He commanded Musa in the valley. He commanded Musa, enter the valley, but take your shoes off in the valley. He commanded Musa, enter the valley, but take your shoes off. Maryam came to the house with her Isa. Maryam came to the house with her Isa, but they were kindly denied from a visa. Maryam came to the house with her Isa, but they were kindly denied from a visa. See when Haidar entered the chosen, the Kaaba split like Musa's ocean. Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla. Haidar Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla. Haidar Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Haidar Mawla. Salawat. خادم لازم خادم inshallah. Inshallah, this one, inshallah, you'll help me with your with your voices. Learn the words. You just got a few words to learn, yeah? I just want to ask you, who out of you here would enter a ship which has no captain? Anyone? No? What I say is, never should a ship ever sail without a direction. Captain, Sergeant. Your jawab is Captain, Sergeant, okay? Never should a ship ever sail without a direction. I mean, Captain, Sergeant. Never should a ship ever sail without a direction. Captain, Sergeant, knowledge is a poison without the means of reflection. So mention one moment spent in contemplation weighs more than thousands of prostrations. I bear witness to the one, no questions, but to this there are conditions. But to this there are conditions. Ahmed had said, I'm the city of God's knowledge. Haidar's the key. Ahmed had said, I'm the city of God's knowledge. Haidar's the key, who was born from the light of the Ilah. Ali Mawla, who was never ever seen fleeing from a war. Ali Mawla, who gave us Hussein in Karbala. Ali Mawla, who lifted the door. Ali Mawla, who lifted the door. Ali Mawla, Ali Mawla. Born from the light of the Ilah, Ali Mawla, he was never ever seen fleeing from a war. Ali Mawla, he gave us Hussein in Karbala. Ali Mawla, he lifted the door. Ali Mawla, he lifted the door. Ali, never should a ship ever sail without a direction. I mean, Captain, Sergeant, knowledge is a poison without the means of reflection. So mention one moment spent in contemplation weighs more than thousands of prostrations. I bear witness to the one, no questions, but to this there are conditions. But to this there are conditions. I say, but to this there are conditions. There are conditions. But to this there are conditions. But to this they're born from the light of the Ilah. Ali Mawla, he was never ever seen fleeing from a war. Ali Mawla, he gave us Hussein in Karbala. Ali Mawla, he lifted the door. Ali Mawla, he lifted the door. Ali, born from the light of the Ilah. Ali Mawla, he was never ever seen running from a war. Ali Mawla, and he gave us Hussein in Karbala. Ali Mawla, he lifted the door. Ali Mawla, justice, kindness, and bravery all gathered in here. I said justice, kindness, and bravery all gathered in here. He knows no fear. He be on the battlefield shedding blood, in prayer shedding tears. Sincere on the battlefield shedding blood, in prayer shedding tears. Sincere like Aaron, he was unto Moses. To Taha, Ali was the closest. On this day the heavens have opened, raining down from heaven roses. They be raining down from heaven roses. He killed Marhab just with his eyes, with 3 letters, A-L and I. He was named a lion by his mother, Ali Mawla. He was named a lion by his mother. His knowledge overflows like a river. Ali Mawla, and he gave everything while he suffered. Ali Mawla, who lifted the door. Ali Mawla, who lifted the door. Named a lion by his mother, Ali Mawla. He was named a lion by his mother, Ali Mawla. His knowledge overflows like a river, Ali Mawla. He gave everything while he suffered, Ali Mawla. He lifted the door, 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 Ali Mawla. Salawat.
صل على محمد وآل محمد. And now for the final recitation of the evening, can we please welcome on Brother Yusuf Ali Okera with Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Bismillah. Bismillah. Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Adam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum, Ya Ali Islam, the true Mu'mineen. Jashan Bibi Khatun Jannat Mubarak to all Mu'mineen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfill all our hajat and bless all the organizers, Muslim community of Essex, for giving us opportunity to be here today to celebrate. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. Wow, wajib hai, Sheikhuna. Ya Ali, Ya Ali. Another loud salawat for Sheikh Ayub, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Sheikhuna, ijaza, inshallah. تفضل شيخنا. بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. پھر بھی ایک درود بھیجے محمد و آل محمد پر. اللہم صل. If I could request all the brothers to sit down, please, inshallah. میں سرے منبر جو کرتا ہوں ثنائے فاطمہ، میں سرے منبر جو کرتا ہوں ثنائے فاطمہ، اس کا مطلب ہے کہ شامل ہے رضائے فاطمہ، میں سرے منبر جو کرتا اور کیا لیں گے صلہ وہ ماتم شبیر کا، اور کیا لیں گے صلہ وہ ماتم شبیر کا، ماتمی کو مل رہی ہے جب دعائے فاطمہ، اور کیا لیں گے صلہ وہ ماتمی شبیر کا، ماتمی کو مل رہی ہے جب دعائے فاطمہ، میں سرے منبر جو کرتا. پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. Just a few verses in Bibi Shan, inshallah. پھر بھی ایک درود بھیجو محمد و آل محمد پر. چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے یہ دنیا زہرا، چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے یہ دنیا زہرا، اصل میں ہے یہ تیرے نور کا صدقہ زہرا، چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے یا علی علی مولا یہ دنیا زہرا، آج بھی دیتی ہے آواز حدیث قدسی،
آج بھی دیتی ہے آواز حدیث قدسی، تم نہیں ہوتی تو کچھ بھی نہیں ہوتا زہرا علی مولا حیدری چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے یہ دنیا زہرا. اور اس شعر پہ غور کریں. اس لیے ابی تمہیں کہتے ہیں نبی. اس لیے ابی تمہیں کہتے ہیں نبی. تم نے آغوش میں حسنین کو پالا زہرا. چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے یہ دنیا زہرا. اٹھ کے تعظیم نبی کرتے بتاتے ہیں ہمیں. اٹھ کے تعظیم نبی کرتے بتاتے ہیں ہمیں. مجھ سے رشتہ بھی نہ ہو پھر بھی ہے زہرا زہرا. چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے یہ دنیا زہرا. راز کے کونوں مکافات ہے خیبر ہے مگر. راز کے کونوں مکافات ہے خیبر ہے مگر. مٹھیوں میں ہے تیری رزق علی کا زہرا. مٹھیوں میں ہے تیری رزق علی کا زہرا. چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے یہ دنیا زہرا. آخری شعر. ایک پیشانی حر ہے تو ہے ایک اشک عزا. ایک پیشانی حر ہے تو ہے ایک اشک عزا. مل گیا دونوں کو رومال تمہارا زہرا. سب مل کے. چاند سورج علی مولا جسے کہتی ہے جی ہے بھائی ہے دنیا زہرا اصل میں ہے یہ تیرے نور کا صدقہ زہرا چاند سورج جسے کہتی ہے دنیا زہرا ور محمد و آل محمد صلوات اللہ حسین بان چلو ٹھیک ہے ایک شعر اس سے پہلے ایک فرمائش آیا ہے بھائی سے بس ایک شعر پیش کرتا ہوں اگر اجازت ہے ور محمد و آل محمد صلوات حسین بانٹ رہے ہیں نجات لے جاؤ حسین بانٹ رہے ہیں نجات لے جاؤ کچھ آنسوؤں کے عوض کائنات لے جاؤ حسین بانٹ رہے ہیں نجات لے جاؤ یہ کربلا ہے یہ معجز نما کی بستی ہے یہ کربلا ہے یہ معجز نما کی بستی ہے کفن میں اس کے لپیٹو حیات لے جاؤ حسین بانٹ رہے ہیں نجات لے جا پردے میں اس کے ساتھ رہا فاطمہ کا نام پردے میں اس کے ساتھ رہا فاطمہ کا نام پردے میں اس کے ساتھ رہا فاطمہ سب مل کے پردے میں اس کے ساتھ رہا معراج کو خدا نے دیا معراج کو خدا نے دیا فاطمہ کا نام پردے میں اس کے ساتھ
میں نے جو پوچھ لیتے ہوں مشکل میں کس کا نام میں نے جو پوچھ لیتے ہوں مشکل میں کس کا نام مولا نے مسکرا کے کہا فاطمہ کا نام پردے میں اس کے ساتھ رہا
عباس کاٹ دیں گے زباں اس لین کی عباس کاٹ دیں گے زباں اس لین کی عباس عباس کاٹ دیں گے زباں اس لین کی، بے احترام جس نے لیا فاطمہ کا نام، بے احترام یا عباس. ہائے ہائے ہائے. عباس کاٹ دیں گے زباں اس لین کی، بے احترام بے احترام جس نے لیا فاطمہ کا نام، بے احترام جس نے I thought you were going to give a نعرہ حیدری.
میں جس نے لیا فاطمہ کا نام، عباس کھات دیں گے زباں اس لین کی، عباس کھات دیں گے زباں اس لین کی، بے احترام بے احترام جس نے لیا فاطمہ، بے احترام جس نے لیا فاطمہ کا نام، عباس کھات دیں گے زباں اس لین کی، عباس کھات دیں گے زباں اس لین کی. جس نے لیا فاطمہ.
آخری شعر. پوچھا ملک نے لایا ہے جنت میں، راشد بھائی آؤ آؤ یار. پوچھا ملک نے لایا ہے جنت میں تجھ کو کون.
Which one is it? کیا ملک نے لایا ہے جنت میں تجھ کو،
پوچھا ملک نے لایا ہے جنت میں تجھ کو کون، حر نے یہ سر جھکا کے کہا. پوچھا ملک نے لایا ہے جنت میں تجھ کو کون، حر نے یہ سر جھکا کے کہا، حر نے یہ سر جھکا کے کہا فاطمہ کا نام، حر نے یہ سر جھکا کے کہا فاطمہ کا نام. عباس کاٹ دیں گے زباں اس لین
کی، عباس کھات دیں گے زباں اس لین کی، بے احترام جس نے لیا فاطمہ کا نام، بے احترام جس نے لیا فاطمہ کا نام.
بسم اللہ. نعرہ حیدری. با وفا با وفا. مولا غازی کا نام اونچا. با وفا با وفا. لبیک یا حسین، لبیک یا زہرا. نعرہ حیدری.
Salam alaikum, brothers. If everyone stays put, please, because there's going to be niyaz served and then inshallah cake cutting afterwards. Please stay put. Do not leave. There's niyaz on its way. That's why we're here. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.